So I'm Leila, and I go to school at the University at Albany in upstate New York, and I am a philosophy major. My dad, non-believer. My mom, she grew up Jewish and stuff, but a lot of, like, for us Jewish people, a lot of it is a lot of very tradition. Religion and, like, God isn't really the forefront of what makes us kind of us. I don't think I actually knew what Christianity was until well, like, into my teen years. So yeah, I do come from a little bit of a broken home, and it really kind of intensified when I got to my teenage years. They decided to split up. My home just became a very kind of violent, nasty, unsafe kind of place that I really didn't want to go back to, and I was just angry at the world, is what it was. I was angry at myself, angry at my parents, just angry at God. I think it was, if there is a God, why is he doing this to me? Why am I so miserable? Why am I feeling all this pain? Why can't I have that perfect family that I see the other people around me have? Like, what did I do to God? Did I do something wrong? Like, did I do something to offend God? Like, because I just didn't know what having a relationship with him looked like, and I think it was just a lot less painful to think that he didn't exist, because I guess it was easier for me to wrap my head around, oh, I'm living in this broken dynamic, but it makes me feel better if God doesn't exist, because at least he's not the one who's, like, being an active bystander. I never took my anger out on other people. I took it out all on myself. I was just, I think, more than anyone, I was just mad at myself. I just hated the person I was, hated everything about myself. I think just the environment I grew up in, it was like a very, Leila, you're this, you're that, you're bad, like, spoiled, rotten, lazy brat, rah, 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 rah. And I think I really internalized that, and I just, when my teenage years came, I just believed that it was just an intrinsic part of myself, and I just thought I wasn't even worth redeeming. I thought I wasn't even worth saving, and I was like, well, I guess it's not even worth asking God for anything, because why would he waste his time on someone as intrinsically flawed and broken and bad as me? So my encounter with Crew is much more of Crew encountering me, and what happened was I finally got up to college, and I was sitting on the stairs in front of my college campus one day, and there was this big event where, like, a whole bunch of clubs were, like, they put up booths and they were advertising, like, hey, come join our club, except for one club who, they had a much more mobile thing happening. They didn't have a booth, and I saw two of them approach me, and I saw them with the cross on their shirt, and the first thing I thought was, oh, I had a lot of very preconceived notions about Christians and Christianity. The only exposure I ever had to it was what I kind of really saw in the media, which was, like, Christians, you know, on street corners holding up signs like, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. And I kind of figured, I'm like, wow, Christians, they're just hateful. They pretend to be all loving, but they just want to cram everything down your throat. That was the first thing I thought in my head. I was like, come on, there's thousands of people here. And they were like, hey, what's your name? And they started to introduce themselves. They're like, we're part of this campus ministry called Crew. Have you heard of us? And I was like, no. What is a ministry? What? And they kind of went into more detail about who they were and what their mission was. And I even asked them, I'm like, do you let non-Christians in this club? You do realize I'm a Jew, right? And they were like, yeah, we want anyone and everyone. And I was like, oh, okay. I was very surprised to see a kind Christian. December 30th, 2019 is when I started to believe. I was at winter conference, so for a couple months leading up to it, I had actually been getting discipled by someone who is very, very near and dear to me. She kind of showed me the ins and outs of the Bible and kind of really started to break down those walls that I put up against God and religion, Christianity, Jesus. And I started to realize just how wrong I was. Like, I was like, wow, I had thought for so long that every Christian made an active choice to just be so hateful, and these people are coming up to me, someone who isn't Christian, a Jew even, and They're showing me this love and tenderness and kindness that I wasn't used to. We went into a session that night, and they showed a clip from Passion of the Christ, right? And it was the infamous crucifixion scene, Jesus, like, stripped, bloody, beaten on that cross, and I never really understood the magnitude of what he actually went through on our behalf. Just kind of looking at him hanging on that cross, I was blown away, and my mouth just dropped open and tears came to my eyes, and I started to cry. And my friend looked over at me and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I turned to her and I said, "I believe. I believe." All I knew was I am taking a step onto a set of stairs that I can't even see. There might not even be a step there, but I am just going to trust that Jesus is there and he's going to catch me in case I fall, and there's nowhere else to go but forward now. Okay, so sophomore year, my mental health started to decline, like astronomically, to the point where I had started harming myself, and I was just in an awful mental state, and I just felt so undeserving of the love and grace that God was giving me. I actually got checked into the hospital and stuff just because I think I was just so dehydrated. I had lost so much weight. I had stopped eating, stopped leaving my room, really. Like, all I knew was to just lay in the dark and just feel shame, really, just so much shame and anger towards myself, and kind of drowning in my own brokenness. And I didn't even want to show God anything that I was harboring, because I didn't think he would even want to. And what happened after that was I got sent to, like, this recovery facility, right? And this is where things get a little more crazy, because this wasn't just any recovery facility. I go there, and this is actually a Buddhist recovery facility, which I had no idea about, and a lot of the healing was like spirit cards and like opening our minds and like meditation and stuff, and internally I was like, oh man. But God kind of showed up for me when I was there in a way that I didn't expect at all. I got there, and we're in the middle of the desert in New Mexico. I was 3,000 miles away from everything I had ever known. And I go into my cabin, and the two girls who I was rooming with, one of them was a devout Christian, and the other one used to be part of crew. Like, in a camp full of this spiritual warfare, God still put us together in a room of believers in Jesus. Another breakthrough came junior year. I was actually asked to be on leadership, but I was very nervous. I thought I was underqualified. I did not think I was the right person. I didn't think I would be able to say the right things, but God had other plans, and that year, all of junior year, I actually stayed on crew leadership, and I actually even joined the worship team. Me and a good buddy of mine, he rocked guitar, and we would sing together, and I found that doing worship team was actually a really powerful way for me to kind of connect with God. I found that I actually enjoyed doing worship, and I found myself starting to let go a lot of the hurt that I had inside me, a lot of the anger. Scars started to heal. I kind of just had to say to myself, Leila, God loves you and forgives you, and even if you can't forgive yourself, God can, and he already did when he died on the cross for you. And I said to myself, am I going to stand here and hate myself? Or am I going to turn to God and receive this gift that he so lovingly gave me? And I said, I'm going to take this gift that he gave me and I'm going to try to use it. This past summer I went to New York City for a mission trip. There was 12 of us, I think, in New York City, and for the next 3 weeks we went out and we would go up to people and practice telling them stories from the Bible. That was a very positive, powerful part of the trip, but of course there was also very hard things that came. I can't speak for everyone else, but I was just so exhausted at the end. That trip changed me in so many powerful ways. I look back at the trip and I realized I knew so much less about God than I thought I did. When I hear that maybe all these religions can coexist and like it doesn't really matter what you believe, when I hear that, part of me wants to say, I want to believe that. I really do. That's the way I grew up, and I want to say, how nice would it be if we could all just have these different religions and like all end up in heaven together. But I think the truth is Jesus is the one way to salvation. Being a different religion from Christianity doesn't make you any less of a moral person. Some of the best, nicest, most giving people may have other faiths or maybe even no faith at all. Christianity doesn't dictate whether you're a good person or a bad person. It doesn't make you any better than the next person. Christianity, what it serves, what Jesus serves, is our way to salvation. I think that the one way that he provides is a very, very, very wide road, enough to fit every person onto that road. It's not a way that is out of reach. It's not a way that you need to work for, and it's not a way that you need to give up huge parts of yourself. It's a way that God doesn't make this way that we have to give up parts of ourselves. God makes this way so that we can become complete. This way isn't an exclusive way, it's an inclusive way. It's a way that says to everybody, please take this gift. I want to give you this gift. And all you have to do is believe in Jesus. It is very possible for all of us to have different faiths and still treat each other with love and kindness, because that is what we are here to do, to treat each other with love and kindness. Jesus didn't only approach religious people, he approached everybody. If he only approached religious people, then what happens to everybody else? The way that my experience helps me relate to people is when people are kind of hesitant to believe or have maybe no belief at all, I just want to say, yes, I know. Like, I know how insane really all of this sounds, and I know that the thought of God coming down and dying for you, I know how crazy and maybe almost ridiculous that kind of sounds. The only reason that I've been able to overcome this disbelief is because of Jesus, and because Jesus gave me the opportunity to open my mind to it. And I want to say, just come and see. If I can't convince you, then that's just God's will, and maybe it's not going to be me, but maybe the next guy, or maybe it's going to be Jesus himself. But I just want to say, come and see.